All right, hello everybody, it's Baxter99 back with another first impressions or a re-first impressions of an indie game called Skull Island Rise of Kong that launched earlier today on Steam. Guys, I'm human. I make mistakes. I want to go ahead and state that my first video and review of this game on Steam, I was under the false assumption that this game was made by a couple of indie developers and I thought it was pretty good because I review so many indie games all the time that are just utter trash. They just use, the same old assets and Unreal and Unity assets over and over and over again. So when I first saw this game and I saw like new assets and I saw some gameplay that was pretty fun and engaging, I probably overpraised this game. I do want to go ahead and state for the record though, I did have quite a bit of fun with my like first 45 minutes of gameplay in this game. I thought it was fun. I thought there's a lot of really cool moves that you can do. The graphics obviously aren't the best kind of graphics you're going to get, and certainly not the kind of graphics you would expect of a title that asks $40. But at the time, guys, I was hoping that the game had, 15, 20 or more hours of gameplay, but that is not the case. I know I did state in my first review that I thought the price tag was really spendy. I went in, I did have some fun with the game, and I said, you know what, if there's 20 or 30 hours of gameplay here and the story, is as captivating as it starts off, I was like, this is probably worth the money. I definitely didn't give it a Zaxter's Indie Gold kind of award, or I didn't say it was best game of the year or nothing like that. But also, guys, I want to go ahead and say this game is certainly not the worst game of 2023. If you guys really want to know the worst game of 2023 so far at this point, look no further than Dead Matter. Made a miss video. It was absolutely horrible. A game that raised, $9.5, $10 million in funding, and then launched in such a poor state, it's not even funny. But guys, I want to go ahead and show you a little bit about Skull Island, Rise of Kong, and why I initially liked it, and why there is something to like about this game, and why it's certainly not the worst game of 2023, like everybody out there is saying. So we'll be back with that right after this. Hi guys, welcome back. So we launched the game here. It is an Unreal Engine game. There's the developer. And we got Skull Island Rise of Kong. So when I launched this game, I did go ahead and take a look at the options. I know I did kind of criticize the developers for not having more than 1920 by 1080 resolution. It doesn't have 4K resolution. I also did knock the developers in my initial video for not having all the settings you would expect of a $40 title. The shadow settings, motion blur, all that kind of stuff you would expect from a AAA title. Also, in the audio here, you get the proper audio settings and stuff like that, but I'd just like to see a lot more, customization and options here in the video. And I'd also like to see some customization in the controls. Anyway, guys, when we go back, let's go ahead and go to a new game here. Just want to go ahead and start this game from the start, so if you buy this game, you'll kind of know what to expect.
Stories of gods told by fanatics. Stories of kings told by the oppressed. And fantasy stories told by the gullible. However, the stories of this age-old island are passed on from generation to generation by those willing to tell a much bigger tale. The stories of the beasts and their king. The story of Kong. Story I will tell you starts at a time of danger and uncertainty for the last remaining Kong family. Raising a child, especially protecting him from the violent beasts, was hard work, and the ever-present threats of the island eventually took their toll on this decimated family.
Alright, so we got our introduction there, and when we start off, yeah, I mean, the level of detail in the graphics is, you know, has a little to be desired. But what I like is that the game is very responsive. Definitely recommend playing this with a controller if you do buy this game. You know, maybe you find it on sale or whatever, or you just really like the looks of it, you know. I know it's been a long time since, like, that King Kong game came out. I think it was, like, way back in, like, 2004 or something like that. But yeah, you can definitely run faster. There's a lot of different moves you can do. No, don't worry, guys. This is not an only up type game. Alright. Where are we going here? There we go. So I like the sound effects. I like the wind and stuff like that. I also like the level of detail you see with the footsteps, the clouds of dust, all that kind of stuff. And then the combat, I found it really fun initially. I do think that the more you play this game and the more you're mashing all your buttons and doing the same attacks over and over again, it's probably going to get more cumbersome and more boring as the game goes on. And it might be one reason there's only, 4 to 6 hours of gameplay here. But she talks about how, this is basically Mama Kong here. Yeah, she's talking about how this is Mama Kong and she's out to find her baby boy and her husband or whatever as they went missing. So we come across here and we do all these different, you can do like headbutts and charges, and you can do rolls to roll out of the way. You can actually pick up these creatures and throw them. You can throw them at each other. You can do a jump attack on them. You can basically target them. Lock in on them. I liked all the special effects that you see when you make these moves. You kind of see the red lines, the animation lines, and stuff like that. I thought it was pretty cool, fun, gameplay. Granted, it's not as much fun as like a Tekken game or something like that. I'm really eagerly awaiting Tekken 8, by the way. And then you come over here, and you can bust down these walls by holding down the Y button on the controller. There we go! Yeah, I love all the different attacks that you can do with these guys. So what I was talking about, look at how it attacks you. Just beating the living crap out of me. But then when you get this guy beat up, he'll start glowing like that. Oops, I killed him. But you can pick these guys up. I threw a rock. But yeah, see how I picked the enemy up? And then I threw it. So that is pretty cool, and then you can do like finishing moves on like the bigger enemies or whatever. Granted, I need a lot more health, but I'm just trying to go through and give you guys like a quick demonstration of what I initially liked about this game and how I was actually having fun. You have a special bar, basically your rage bar down there. That's all that was explaining, and it fills up by doing combos and stuff like that on the enemies, so try to mix it up when you're doing your attacks, that kind of thing. Boom! And then you can do a boost attack by doing left trigger plus right trigger. So you can kind of jump on them or whatever. Ah, I'm getting beat up! God damn! And this is what I'm talking about, how you can do that finishing move on some of the enemies. You can also pick up these smaller guys by grabbing them like that and then throw them at each other. It's pretty fun. The combat is pretty fun, not gonna lie. So yeah, people saying this is the worst game of the year. Like, I don't know who the hell is saying this is the worst game of the year, where so many people are getting that at. But again, go look at any of my missed videos from 2023. And this game is like just ages above any of those things, and it's, like Dead Matter or whatever, way better than Dead Matter is. So calling this worst game of the year, saying this has PS1 graphics is just absurd. But the problem, like I say, guys, here is that It looks like the gameplay is probably going to get a little bit repetitive as you even play the 4 to 6 hours of content that's here. Because even though there's lots of different moves and combos that you can do, yeah, I can definitely see how this game might get a little bit repetitive. And with only 4 to 6 hours to beat the game as well, $40 is just way too much to ask for this. And I was just under the assumption that there was going to be a lot more gameplay here. So you can kind of jump over these gaps like that. And a thunderstorm, it sounds like. I love how these guys all jump at you and everything like that as well. Pretty sweet. Yeah, I mean, the combat here, definitely your first 45 minutes, hour is definitely going to be a lot of fun. Maybe even your first couple hours. But then, you know, maybe I can definitely see where it would probably start getting a little bit repetitive. But I really have no problems with the graphics themselves. My biggest problem is going to be that the game just is a bad value at $40 US. So, there it is, guys. I mean, this is the Kong game that everybody is calling the worst game of the year and all that good stuff. I don't see it myself. I think it's a pretty decent game. I don't think it's game of the year. I don't think it's you know, an amazing game, but it's certainly not a absolutely terrible game either. It's just way overpriced. And if that's my story, guys, that's where I'm sticking. It's not as good as I initially thought it was, and it's obviously a lot worse value than I thought it was initially. But it's certainly not PS1 graphics for the worst game of 2023. So I think there is a happy medium for this game, guys, and yeah, I think Kong agrees. He's saying, yeah, it's all right. There's better games I'd rather be playing, but yeah, I'd stay here before I go to Dead Matter. Keep me away from Dead Matter. Ooh, ooh. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. This is Unzaxter9. We'll see you in the next video, everybody. Take care.